Hi, welcome to Gentle Yoga with Jan. I'm Jan, and today we're going to go over and cover the pose Vajrasana or Thunderbolt pose. There are several different variations, and we're going to go over 3 of them and also set you up so you can be comfortable in the pose. Now this pose can be a little sensitive to the feet, so I'm going to show you different ways that you can modify. There are benefits, great benefits for this pose. It stimulates the digestive system, great for circulation in the feet, stretches the feet, the ankles, the thighs, and also great for the pelvic floor muscles. Some props and things that you might need for this pose is a block, or you can just get a book, a firm book. And if you have a yoga blanket, that would be great. If you don't, just grab a couple towels and you can use that. Not everyone has a yoga blanket on hand. So if you'll gather those things, slip off your socks and shoes, and I'll see you on the mat. So the first variation, I'm going to show you how to use your blanket. Now you might have practiced this pose and you feel like you don't need the props, but I want you to, if you just to explore and try it and see if it feels good for you. There's no shame in a modified game in my book. So take the towel and just fold it in half once and then fold it lengthwise with the edges even. And you want to place the edge of the towel or your blanket with just the ankle. So just past the ankle will be off the blanket. So that should feel pretty good, supporting and padding the legs a little bit. The first position, we're going to tuck our toes underneath, also called screaming toes. Once in a while you'll hear screaming toes, and you'll probably know why in just a second here. So to make sure all toes are joining the party, I'm just going to fold forward and reach back, tuck my toes, bring your feet together, and make sure all toes are tucked, pulling them forward, and then coming back onto the heels. Now if sitting back on the heels is too much pressure on the toes, if that is just not doable, then come up onto the knees and still tuck the toes. Now some people that might be enough sensation, others not enough. You want to feel something. This isn't comfort. You want to stimulate, what we're doing is stimulating a lot of stuff in our toes and stretching. So you make sure both toes are tucked underneath. Rest your hands in your lap and then just sitting back more into the sitting bones, rolling back into the back of the sitting bones, and curving the body in a shape of a C. And letting the head just fall forward. Now the heels are together. They may want to splay out, but try to keep them together and fold. Let's just take a few calm breaths here. Relaxing the neck. Feeling that wonderful sensation. Now go ahead and come back up. Bring the head back up. If this is too much, but this wasn't enough, you can also take the block or the book, place it onto the heels, and sit back. And that feels pretty good. You're still getting sensation, but not so much pressure in the knees. So again, just rounding, and coming out of the pose, lift up. The next position will be to point the toes back behind you, heels together, knees together if you can, and then coming. So again, this might be enough for you. If not enough, go ahead and try sitting back on the heels together. If this is still too much, again, the block can work really nicely here. So finding the position that feels good for you, resting your hands in your lap, and go ahead and roll to the back of the sitting bones, curve the spine, drop your chin forward. A few breaths here. pose, bring the head back up. Push your legs into the floor, lift the hips, and relax. So the next variation, we are going to stack our feet on top of each other. Now there's a reason why we do this. This is great. This is where the stimulating the digestive system. We have acupressure points in our feet, and this is a really good way to stimulate those points. So pretty much a lot of the same thing, except we're going to stack the right foot over the left on the arches. Again, knees together if you can. Coming back to sitting on the heels. Now, if that is too much, again, come back up and just rest right here, or place the block onto the heels, and you can adjust. For me, the block, it feels better for me just to sit on my heels. Now once again, if this is causing pain in the knees, avoid it. You don't ever want to feel pain in a joint and do a pose. If you feel pain in a joint, your body's telling you that's not good. Come out. Now it's okay to feel some sensation in the muscles, but not in, especially the knees in this pose. So and you can kind of play around with position, move the feet around, like up higher or lower on the arch of that foot to create a place that feels okay. You'll find the one place might be a little bit more tender than the other. So find a comfortable place where you can sit for a minute. Now notice the foot that is on the bottom, that leg will be extended out just a little bit further than the foot that's on the top. And that is normal. So go ahead and bring the weight into the back of the sitting bones, rolling the spine, resting your hands in your lap, dropping the head forward, and feeling that nice, yummy sensation in the feet. Breathe through it. Bring the head back up, push the legs into the floor, and come back up. Switch sides, so the left foot is on top now. Adjust your knees. Go ahead and come back. So this side is not as tender for me. Which side is more tender for you? That is totally normal. And go into the pose, back of the sitting bones, rounding the head. Lift the head back up, push the feet into the knees into the floor, and come back up and adjust your feet. Good. For you folks that can't get down on the floor and obviously can't be sitting back on your heels, you can still do this pose from a chair and benefit. So let's go ahead and go through the first variation, which will be just to tuck the toes underneath and to crunch the toes. So just slide your foot back by sliding one foot at a time underneath, tucking the toes and pushing down into the floor. You are in charge of how much pressure you're pushing down, so you want to feel some stimulation. You want to feel it so it's a little uncomfortable, and make sure that all toes are crunching underneath if you can. And just hold that. You can do one foot at a time, or you can do both feet at a time. I like, if you're sitting, it's kind of easier just to do both, one foot at a time. So holding each side for a few breaths, and then releasing out of that pose. So the other variation is to just tuck the toes underneath and push into the floor. If you want a little padding under your feet, this is always nice. Just get your towel and tuck your toes. That creates a little bit more padding for the knuckles of the toes. And put as much, the more you push the foot forward, the more stretch that you're going to get. And that is up to you and depending on your feet. So you can go further into the pose by holding onto the knees, rolling to the back of the sitting bones, and letting the head drop. Just taking a few breaths. Come out of the pose, rolling forward, change the feet, the other toes tucking underneath, pushing down as much as you feel comfortable, rolling back, dropping the head. Coming back up, release the foot. The third variation is a little difficult to do with your feet crossed underneath. You're not really going to feel a lot of stimulation there, but you can, if that is good for you, do that. Or you can bring your foot on top of your leg one at a time and stimulate the arches, that place in your foot right there that we would be working if we were doing it on the floor. So find what variation works for you. So the good thing about these foundational poses that we go over is that you can go to any class, and when they start going into these poses, you will know. You can use the props there at the studio or in your class, or bring them yourself. You will know how to do it for the best way for you. If they don't cover all this stuff, you know how to do it for you. So I hope that's helpful. Work your feet, and if you haven't watched the other videos for the feet, make sure you do that. Our feet are important. Make sure you follow me, like the page, and share it with others who you think that might be able to benefit from this. And I'll see you in the next class.